All right, we are starting off with the 1978 IFL Preview. Got Butch with me. Just recently joined the league. Welcome, Butch.
Thank you.
And we're going to start off with the AFC's Marine Division. And just a little history. This is a hybrid division created in 1970. Hey, there's Jay. Let me go ahead and get him added. Two teams from the old NFL moved over, Adeline and let me think which was the other team, because all the names have changed since then. The team Dennis has got, Chiba City now. It used to be Crystal Lake, but they moved over, and then High Plains and Great White joined those along with a expansion team to create this division. But all the other divisions, there's four of the teams in each of those, other than the expansion team that joined them in '68, have all been together for 14 years. So this is, like say, kind of the only hybrid division we have going. Cool. And we'll start by just taking a look with alphabetical order at Adeline, who had the second overall pick. Jay made a big trade up to get James Lofton. I think he's a great player. I think I had him rated second overall. I've got my own ratings up here, so I can kind of take a look at that as we're going. Yeah, and I don't even like wide receivers, so he must be really good. And I know Jay gets a lot more out of his wide receivers than I do. But James Lofton to go with Jim Zorn, I thought was a great pickup. And then he grabbed Fred Quillen, and he's one of the centers. And these guys are going to look a little weird on my list because I already had centers on the two teams I was drafting for. So I pushed a lot of guys that may have been late first down to the second and such like that, because I really wasn't looking at centers as much. But I did have him as the top center. He's got, over the years, counting a 4 as 1, 5 as 2, and a 6 as 3. He's got 12 run block ratings over the years. And this is just adding up their pass blocking. I do give a 10 if a guy's rated a 7, but otherwise just adding them up over the years. 49 is pretty good. That's like a first round kind of grade. As you see, he's only third overall in the set of pass blocking combined over the years. And not too many guys are better than his 12. A few other centers, but again, the better pass blocker is what he was looking for with Zorn and James Lofton. Then we look at Ken Clark, Derek Ramsey, a real nice pickup. I don't have positions on these. I believe Ramsey is one that, yeah, very nice. I had him as a second round type tight end. Then he got it in the fourth. And he was a very nice pickup late. Tight end's not necessarily a position of need, but that was just a position that was sitting there waiting to be taken as far as a good value. And you can always trade those guys or trade your number one if you pick up somebody who's good.
All right. Yeah.
And I can go ahead and our problems with sorting some of these as some of these had the old names that I only went so far down, but we're only going to look at the top 5 or so anyway. And then he also, let's see originals. Do this first. Then he also got Ken Clark. He was a defensive lineman, yeah. Defensive tackle, 10 against the run over the years and 64 on his pass rush. That's a lot of pass rush. Plays nose tackle. That's a really big pickup. I thought he and Gary Dunn were fairly close. I like Dunn a little bit better as far as giving you a little bit more against the run. But I had those guys pretty close, and I had them kind of late first, early second. And I think Dallas kind of reached to get Gary Dunn in a way, but that's why I graded him first round. Is he was kind of one of those guys you can kind of build around once you get him, and down the road he gives me some good nose tackle play, and I think that's what Adeline was thinking with Ken Clark. Once you get down in some of these years, he's a good pass rusher, and several years where he's a really good nose tackle, 5'11", 5'8", so very nice pickup. And we'll take a look at Adeline. Sort these by division. Adeline's one of those teams that is going to be a strong team for 78. They've got Zorn. They've had Morton for years. They dealt him, but now they've got Zorn, and Zorn's 56%. And look at the yards per tip, very nice. Few fumbles, 4.5, but he's got some running game to go with that. So it's not going to be just Zorn dropping back and passing 35 times a game. Nice in the run card there. Look at that must run, excellent must run. It's going to pick up a first down 2 through 6 almost all the time, and sometimes even on some of the 7s and 8s. And he's one of those guys that a lot of guys in this set and guys that have looked at the set know it's not a lot of great short passing quarterbacks. There's a few, but not very many. Zorn is pretty good, guess wrong, but not all that great, guess right. He's got the nice must run that's going to come up, but he's a solid flat passer. He's got a 13 complete right on flat, and none of them are in the big part of the card or short ones. It's +7, +6, short game, and long pass. That's where Zorn is really good. He's got 7 guess right completions. 5 of those are long game, and very scary quarterback guess wrong long. You look at the line, he's got 2 7s on offensive tackle, and there's not many of those in the entire set. He's got a good run blocking middle of the line, but a couple of 7s there. We'll look at Pruitt. McKnight's the guy we're going to take a real close look at, but Mike Pruitt, a solid workhorse kind of pick up 2 when you need 2, pick up 2 when you need 4 kind of guy. Not great, but a solid guy to have in there. And Ted McKnight's one of the better cards in the set, 6 yards to carry. Doesn't have any fumble issues. And look at that +29 on 8 and run wrong. That's a great card.
That's a card.
Yeah, that is a great card. I'm just going to see if anybody else is trying to join real quick. No. And even guess right, he's got a short gain right there in the middle of the card. +17 right there in the middle of the card. And really going to like having that guy. Not a huge threat as a receiver. And then he's got Gary Davis as well. 5 yards a carry, 62 carries. Nice. You don't want to leave guess wrong too often. It's got a +65, lots of short gains, 6, 5, and 7 when you're not hitting the big ones. So there's not much to go wrong if that's a guess wrong run. And of course, James Lofton, he's not the James Lofton we'll see way down the road, but still 18 yards a catch, unlimited long, loaded with long gains. A guy that is one of the better cards right out of the first year, right out of the set. Freddie Solomon's a solid guy, 15 yards, unlimited. Not going to miss but 1 game. Guy that's really a fine number 2. He's not as strong as some of the other teams we'll probably see, like Chiba City's really loaded at wide receiver normally. He's still a really good guy. Gene Fugett's one of the tight ends they've got. Also got Jerome Barkum, a couple guys that have been around for a while. 14.7 and a dot. Doesn't drop very much. Very nice guy to have. And on defense, we've got the Cowboys defense at 4-3. It's usually excellent against the run. This particular year rated good to excellent and good. Very solid guys plugging the zone. They've only got 1 chance on the middle and linebacker, none off tackle, and just a +1 there. Otherwise, you're getting a 0 or negative yardage. They don't give up a long gain. Pass defense, nothing to worry about flat. A few completions, but it's not going to be something you worry about. Solid interception chance, above average, not great, but just a little above average. It's like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 chances short, just kind of in the average range. Long gain is on 12. They don't give up many long gains. I like this part of the 0 bin long. They only got 4, 5 chances. I'd say 7's about average, but they've only got 5 chances long. So guys in the long zone can creep up a little bit without worrying about it killing you so bad. We've got a total of 4 chances complete long. And again, a solid interception, nothing great. And take a quick look at special teams. No problems. Nice kicker on the 23 to 32. He's all the way to 2 through 9. In this era, it's almost like you get 10 extra yards of field just due to the way field goal kickers execute in the modern game versus then. It's almost like you have 10 extra yards to play with on defense, and you need to gain 10 more on offense to get the same field goal chances. Nice punter with no blocks. Really good number 1 and number 2 guy there as a solo. You just got to love a card that's going to give you all those yards and be able to do it out of both columns. Got a nice kickoff return there, and Peyton's actually a very good kickoff returner. Number 1 guy, Gary Davis, not so much. So, but the number 2 guy will do well. I like this team quite a bit. It's one of the teams looking at their defense. 5s across the line for right tackle, but nice pass rush. They've got into the 30s when you add them all up. 6s at the most important position to me, middle linebacker, and then another one at left linebacker, and a 5-12 at the other spot. So 6s at your corners and 5s at your safety. Really nice looking team. Looks like a playoff team. Not sure if they'll win the division or not. Haven't looked at any other team, but I like this as a playoff team.
Agreed, yeah.
We'll look at Chiba City, one of the teams that moved over from the NFC, the defending champion. And they also won in 74. So they've won 2 of the last 4, 74 and 77. He's the number 1 guy. When Dennis first took over, they just added Fouts, so didn't get a bad starting guy there. Dennis had actually taken over a team and was coaching it as kind of a fill-in team, but this team opened up. He was the guy that kind of had the newest team, so I gave him a shot at this, and he was wise in not turning down Dan Fouts. Not much of a runner, but he's starting to show that development on the passing column short. He's had some good cards already. This one, he's starting to tame his interceptions a little bit better. And really nothing in this era. What's that, 14 short right? Nothing at all wrong with a guy that's that good. Guess right in this era. He's 13 flat, and it's like 6 right long, and got that big long gain. Guess wrong on 7. So very nice little card. We'll get some better cards, 79 through 81 or 2, but that's a really nice card. He's got a good line. I love the run blocking in the middle. He's got tons of good run blocking. He's got a 7 at center and 5s on the tackle spots. Pete Johnson's one of those guys that just regularly can go out there and roll up just year after year, 13 carries for 55 yards for you, and gives you a ton of attempts. Solid guess right runner. He's got short gains enough to not want to just leave him guess wrong, and he's usually got something extra that kind of makes him a better than average guy, and he's got a plus 50 there, plus 24. Receiving, he's got enough short that you have to at least keep him in mind. Flat's not great in yardage, but nice short card anyway. Got Roland Hooks, 4.7, and not much as a receiver, but he's got a huge short gain straight across the board on 8.
Yep.
Nice running card as a whole, plus 66 on in run wrong 12. So nice solid runner, and he's usually got a few of those guys that can run. Take a look. Strachan is 3.6, and he could. He's kind of a guess wrong runner that year, but he could pick up some yards too. Bruce Harper. Oops. Nice Bruce Harper card. I can't remember if he traded for him, but very nice end run. 17 chances end run wrong. But a very nice Bruce Harper card. And he's a very good receiver as well. So he'll be one of the guys that you'll see out there a bit. Theo Miller, he kept, I remember, 3.8. Another one of those guys that's going to kind of be one of those guys picks up 5 or 6 carries a game, does all right for you, has certain role or niche that he'll play with at the team, solid flat receiver there. So see some of those running back by committees for some of these teams that do not have a huge number one. There's a rookie that'll go right in the lineup, Derek Gaffney, 18.2. He's got some years down the road where he's good, but this is a very nice card. Full with long gains and very nice short yardage as well. Tony Hill's just starting the kind of the prime of his career. I believe he went last year. A couple other guys were looking at him, and anyway, he went off the charts as a rookie last year. Didn't have a card. He's like a one catch or no catches, but immediately starts producing after that rookie year. Second year, almost 18 yards a catch. A lot of catches, doesn't drop many during his career. He's not one of those guys that's just long gain or drops. He does long gains and has a lot of catches. Maxed out long, maxed out short. Very, very nice card. Only one drop flat. Those guys you're going to have for years. And Vinnie Cunningham, very underrated pickup he had a couple of years ago at tight end, 20 yards a catch. You're kind of thinking could be a better flat card, but it's a great short card for sure. But I've seen guys with lesser averages have better flat cards than that. Very nice guy to have, though. And again, very solid offensive line to run behind. So some of those guys that aren't great guessed right are going to be getting blocks. Can't remember. I think they're a 4-3 team. Yeah. Good, average to poor. And the good is good. It's a very solid run card. Gives up 11 long game, but that's a 5, 8, 10 chances. That's a solid short card. 6.5 long games with no men. That's probably closer to an average short card or pass card overall to me. But anyway, no worries there. Take a quick look at the special teams. Cockcroft has had some amazing years. He didn't have a super year this year, but I believe it was like 75 or 76, 74 or 75 maybe. Yeah, just an amazing card for the era. Very nice punt returner. Number 1 and number 2 for Bruce Harper, and gets tons of yards. Lonnie Perrin doubling from fullback along with Harper, giving him some solid kickoff return guys and not taking up extra roster spots. He's got a lot of depth on this defense and has had for a year. He just lost probably Alden Roche, was probably a guy that got cut a year or two. But he's always had a guy or two on the bench that are pretty good guys. Ed Too Tall Jones is 5'12", Matusik a 5'7", 5'6" for Butts. And then Alan Page has been the franchise's best player other than Fouts for many years, 4'12", usually a guy that could even flip out to defensive end if you wanted him to. Take a quick chance. Nope, not this year, just a tackle. And then he's got all 5s in the middle linebacker spot, no huge pass rushers. Again, very good secondary. We've seen a lot of teams already with 2 that have good secondaries, but I've noticed that around the league as well. There's a lot of 6s this year compared to what you'll see in other years. I think it was 71. There's only like 6 or 8 cornerback 6s. There's a lot more than that, more close to what Strat puts out, closer to 20 a year or 15. So free safety 6 will be able to move up and help with those linebackers. Solid team, and as a whole, I kind of like Adeline better at the moment, but I do like this team. They've got a really good pass rush, but with the 6s at linebacker of Adeline and just as a kind of a gut feel, I think I like Adeline slightly better than Chiba City so far. And we'll take a look at Great White. It's coached by Nick Wolf in far western Canada. And they're kind of getting toward the end of Bob Gracie's career here. 63%, still playing well, 4.7 interceptions, but doesn't have too many years left at this point. Does not run the ball at all. And maxed out flat card, first thing you notice there. And again, one of those in an era without many short. Here's a guy with 16 guess right short completions. So 5, 6 right long, not terrible, but great flat, great short card. It's got fullback David Sims, set 4.3, 174 carries, and solid card. Decent receiver. Chuck Muncie, number 1 pick of a year or two ago. 3.5. He's got some fumbles there. He's got better cards coming when he gets to San Diego for sure. And he's also got Don Woods, who had a great year a few years back. 151 carries, 3.4. You can get some yards guessed wrong there, and he's got a little bit of help guessed right if you just need a yard there. And can go long. Let's see. I know he took Steve, who's a good receiver. Billy Brooks is still 17 yards a catch, 45. Pretty good hands.
Good yardage. Yeah.
Yes, very good yardage. Henry Childs, 16 yards a catch, 53 catches. Almost maxed out card, lots of long games.
Yep.
But a 5.55 across the board. Don't see many tight ends, that many catches long, and that many long games, guess right, long especially. So great card there. And Steve, like I say, is a good 1-year receiver, 20 yards a catch. And he's got just 4.4 short and long, so not maxed out as far as hands, but great long gains. And he's another team that has some good offensive linemen here. John Hanna regularly at least a 6 something, but a 6'7" this year. He's got a good guard there, a 5'2", but a couple of younger an older guy, Norm Evans, a younger guy, Jackie Slater, I believe, and the one and only Billy Shields. So not a great line, but he's got a great guard there. This will be a 3-4 team. They've got Sugar Ray Hamilton and Elvin Bethea. It's been one of the better defensive ends for a long time. Paul Pollard, kind of a quiet guy that went like in a deep draft, like in the 3rd round. He's rarely a good run guy, but he's always got a good pass rush. And excellent against the run, average against the pass. 3-4's kind of needs that's a very good defense as a whole when you've got a guy up, but kind of needs a big play in there to motivate you to want to run against that. There's not a lot there if he's got a guy up. And let's see, this is a team with 13, 15, not a very good short pass defense. They've got the 11 long game, but they've also got 3, 6, 9, 10, 12. So quite a few catches there. And long gains, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, above average, and kind of average interceptions. So definitely have a better run defense than a pass defense. Got some good punt return coverage guys there. Sepien's not great compared to the first couple of kickers we've seen, but it's not terrible. Keith Moody is really good. Late pickup from the Bengals, I believe, or not the Bengals, from the Generals, I believe. Maybe his offense. Theo Bell there is not bad as a second guy. I like the fact that he's getting yardage all the time. That helps versus the guys that have high fair catch and maybe just plus 13. All those little ones add up. And he's got a solid number 1 punt or kickoff returner, plus 77, 24 on 5. And on defense, he's got linebackers Rod Martin. Very nice pickup. He's one of the guys I kind of expected to pick up for high plans at 7. I didn't think Clay Matthews is going to be on the board, and I kind of targeted, man, it'd be great if Rod Martin would still be there. And I kind of think he might be, when you're kind of looking at it. And anyway, it was great to get Matthews, but Rod Martin would have been a great pickup. He went one slot later. Then you've got Steve King, Beeson at middle linebacker, okay, but not great. Cecil Johnson at right linebacker, a couple of 4s on the corners, and Jake Scott, a 5 free safety, but a 0, and Dennis Thurman at strong safety. So again, not as great a defense as the ones we've been looking at, and a couple of guys that are not bad at all, but it's going to kind of depend on Greasy and Childs, I feel like, to kind of carry this team. They don't have the great running back support, but Greasy and Childs are great players, and they can take a team a ways. But still leaning toward Adeline at the moment. We'll go back to the draft real quick. Chiba City got Gary Spay. Very nice pickup. One of those guys that lasts a long time. Gerald Small and Gaffney, of course, third. Just a second. We'll take a look at those 3 picks. Man, is a long-lasting linebacker, I believe. Yeah, I had him ranked as a first-round value. I liked him. 15 D ratings, and like I say, it's just kind of spread out over the years. No 6 ratings in there, so you're getting lots of ratings. 40's not bad at all for pass rush for a middle linebacker, especially. But you look at that career, it's just 4.5, 4.8, 5.4, 5.9, 5.0, 5.11, 5.3, 5.0. Very nice pickup late first, and that's kind of where I thought he would go. And I felt like very nice pickup for him. And then also got Gerald Small. It's probably an offensive lineman of center because, like I say, I didn't think about those names very hard this year. Small. There he is. Defensive back, he's got a cornerback 4 coming in 79, a 5.4, 5.5. So guy that's got some value. And this was kind of a off year for corners. So nobody else was getting anything. And if you got a guy like that, you weren't falling behind the pack, so to say, in the draft. And then Great White's picks, we'll take a quick look at. Of course, they got Rod Martin. And then Preston Bernard, a nice long-term wide receiver, I felt. Jimmy Garofalo, or Cephalo, rather. He's a guy that didn't have as good a card this year as the guy Dennis got, was a Gaffney. But I felt like Cephalo probably fit his team a little bit better. I didn't think this particular year that was going to be a separating kind of pick. And there was other guys you could pick up for 1 year, and that's what they ended up doing with Steve. But Cephalo gives you one great year down the road. I kind of felt like it might be better just to kind of push this down the road to where they're one of the favorites in the division versus one of the teams kind of trying to move up. High Plains, they drafted, of course, Clay Matthews. I felt like at the time was the #1 overall player due to the fact I love linebacker 6s, but even more so, I love guys that are 12 against the pass rush or asterisk guys regularly. And I felt like long-term, he just gave you so many years that even if some of his years were falling when a team was not so good, there'd be a lot of years where that was coming up at the right time. It's one of those guys that have great trade values 5 or 6 years from now. Paul Kaufman actually had rated first-round value myself. He went in the second round. I had him as like 12th, 14th best player or something. I love Paul Kaufman a lot. Guy that doesn't even have a catch this year. He just got a card, but he gets really good down the road. Alfred Jackson, just a guy that gives you 2 or 3 years as a fairly decent wide receiver. And at this point, I felt like the team kind of had several guys like that. You just kind of toss guys in and figure it out later which of these guys I'll keep, which maybe I'll deal for a 4th or 5th round a couple of years from now, or maybe they all fit kind of where this guy's best year is here, this guy's best year is there. But I kind of had him rated as a mid to early 3rd, and I really wanted a wide receiver. and I didn't get one of the first couple of picks. So I kind of felt like I wanted to get one there. And then Lyndon King really pass rush in a short little period of time. Plays defensive back, I think, as his first year, but defensive back 0. And then a 4-3, 0-3, but then a 4-12, 4, 5-8, 4-10. That's a really nice little fit in the window where the team gets better. They've got good corners then. Dickey's starting to throw interceptions, but he's still a good quarterback through that era. Clay Matthews is, I already knew I had him by then. He's starting to get good. Kaufman's real good. Felt like he was just a really good player to throw into that window. And I didn't think I had him as a third round value, so I didn't think he was a steal or anything. And a team that had good linebackers already set in that era probably wouldn't have been the best pick on the board, but I felt really good about where that fit in with High Plains and where they were at the time. I do know this team a little bit. I've been drafting for them for a few years. This is a down year for them. I didn't want, because I felt like somebody was going to be taking it over, didn't want to kind of overtrade some of the good assets on the team. I talked to a couple of coaches about, hey, you want to trade Sizemore or Russ Washington? Both of these guys would have gone in the first round if they were in this draft, just what they got left in their career. And they both were drafted, but one, Russ Washington, like 69, and Sizemore was like 74. So they've already given me a lot, but there's still a lot of value left in those guys. But no, I held on to them. I knew they weren't going to get me in the playoffs this year, but they're going to help and kind of keep that from being a position you have to rebuild around down the road. Still got a solid guard in Sam Adams. First year for Larry McCarron, taking over from Bob Johnson, who was a first-round pick for us, like 68, and he's just now leaving. But McCarron's just getting started. He lasts a long time. Quarterback's just a placeholder right now. Lynn Dickey's going to take over 80 to 85, at least 80 to 81. He's very good. And then starts, like I say, kind of getting an interception. Some thought about maybe not having him do it then. But Mike Ray's a guy that was just kind of a leftover from 76, gave me a decent enough attempts and not being terrible. I felt like I'll hang on to those attempts and may just pair a couple guys with him. I took Norris Weiss above Pisarcik, because he's got a very nice card for next year, and I felt like he would have some trade value. I don't know if the team's really going to be good enough to want to keep a one-year guy, but he might be worth a fifth or sixth next year. But at worst, he's a guy like might beat out Ray for a job next year and give at least a few attempts. Pisarcik's actually got a good card down the road, like 84 or something, but otherwise, he's one of those guys that gives you a couple of cheap backup cards where he's got no attempts or something, but he got a good card. And it's like, well, I've already got my starter. He's just an injury guy. I don't need him to actually have any attempts. And if he gets to the end of the season with no attempts, he could start for you maybe in week 16. But I just felt like he was a guy just to throw into the roster at that point. And I felt like it was worth a roster spot. A couple other positions I might have held another guy, but I was like, nah, I think I'd rather just hang on to those, sort it out next year of which guy I'll cut. Probably Mike Ray, but trade either maybe Weiss or Pisarcik, but maybe even Dickey. But this team's a little too good to be in the Montana sweepstakes. I think they'll end up winning 6-7 games, but a lot of it's just going to be because they're kind of not bad at anything. They're just not good enough at quarterback to really carry him. Franco's got tons of attempts, not a huge fumbler. Matter of fact, not a fumbler at all for a change, but it's just kind of a so-so card. You kind of need the offensive blocking and, to hit off the defensive cards a lot, and expect you'll be guys strong a lot. But this is one of the worst Franco cards other than 73 that he'll have in the rest of his career. OJ still got a solid card. He's got 161 attempts, doesn't fumble much. If there would have been a market for running backs this year, he might have gotten traded, but everybody's sitting on a guy better than this. And he's got a really good guest right off tackle card, I think. Guest wrong's not bad. Still can catch. There's just not much of a market for it. Jackson and Scott especially are really solid receivers. And all the quarterbacks on this team can throw long, guest wrong. Rest of it, not so good. They've got a rebuilding project going on at tight end, and that got answered kind of with Kaufman. they had almost nothing left. They had Paul Seymour, who's kind of been playing out his career as just being a blocking guy, but not a whole lot of greatness on offense. But they got by last year just by running a whole bunch and not being in third and long a whole lot. James Harris had a lot of bombs, and I think it 5-19, but it was about a 50-50 point differential. So we're competitive. And good defensive line, but they're not necessarily in their best year right now. Sharp's like a 6'11 next year. Alzado, that's about his rating average. Harrison's a better pass rusher than that. Dutton's on his transition. He's about to turn into a defensive tackle 5 for 4 or 5 years after this, but he's had a nice run at defensive end. Salam's got 2 or 3 5s down the road. Linebacker's not in good shape on the team, but they've got Clay Matthews. That'll improve anything. And like I mentioned, they've got a guy coming down the pike, Lyndon King, who will help at outside linebacker. Inside linebacker, they've got Scott Studwell, 3rd-round pick last year, who gives you a couple of pretty good ratings around 80, around 88, 89, I think it is. He's got a couple of 5 top ratings and got a good pass rusher rating on the way, but he's mostly a 4 over his career. Quarterback, this is one of those things that's, like I mentioned, wasn't a good year this year, and we drafted heavy in it last year. So as teams' corners age, this will be a team that has good quarterback play. Charles Romes is about to start a run of about 5 5s and a 6. Audrey Beeman is, I think it's another guy. I think it's Beasley Reese. One of these guys, anyways, got a run of a couple of 5s and 2 or 3 4s. Reese has got some years that he's not too bad on, and take a quick look at him. It's a team that's going to probably be better in a couple of years. But yeah, they've got, let's say, a couple of 5s here at 80. 81's even a better year for them. Got a 6 and a 5. And a 5 at one of the safeties, and again a couple 5s, 5, 4. So they've got a few years they'll be okay at cornerback, and they just kind of needing that impact player, maybe at halfback or another good impact defense player. But it's not a team without a future. But this will be a kind of a tough year, and they'll be kind of like Great White. They'll probably be in a lot of games, but I can't see them being better than either Adeline or Chiba City myself. Their defense is not bad as a whole. The short pass is probably the best thing about it. For what's called a average run defense, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's closer to average to good or good to me, but a very nice short part. So, even though they've got 4s across the short zone, got a few things they can do with the defensive card there. And then we've got the newest team on the block, the Canton Bulldogs, which was the Memphis Mafia. And Steve, I wish was here. I've got a great draft pun that I really wanted Steve to have, but anyway, he's not probably going to listen to this, so I don't want to waste a really good pun. Kenton's got a good team. He's taken over a team that's been very well built over the years. Terry Bradshaw's probably second great card that he's had. Got some interceptions, but 75 is the only card I really liked of Bradshaw early on. First 7 years, I didn't think he had very good cards, but this card, he can make things happen. Again, a little bit high of an interception, but he can really make things happen. 15, 18, 22, 25, short pass wrong. That's Stabler-like. That's crazy. A lot of picks, but just love that short pass. He's not as good long as I think he is in 79. I may be wrong, but it seemed like he was better in 79. All the same, you got 5 long games, 7 overall hits, and 9 more guess wrong. So very good guess wrong long card. Take a look at Curtis Brown, 4.6. And it's one of those cards that's kind of balanced. He's got good guess right, guess wrong. He's got enough short gains, got a big play. So kind of a nice kind of card. I like that +5, +4, short gain, 8, 7, guess right. Lots of big chunks. One of those guys that definitely help you get into the end zone. And the guy named Walter Payton, not many fumbles. He's not going to show up probably as minimum this year. 9.6 with a 61-yard long. That's a great flat card. Better short, better long than almost any receiver out of the backfield you'll see. And he's another one of those guys that's kind of got a little of everything. He's got some short gains, got some big plays, got some guest right stuff. He doesn't really stand out one way or another. Doesn't have that 7 short gain guest right, but he's got all these stuff that make up for it. When you have 7 guest right, a lot of times all these are +2s, +1, -3 kind of stuff. So I kind of like the more balanced kind of cards that can play in a lot of different down and distance situations. You got big plays if you want to go after those, +76 long gain. So very great, very nice card and great all-around player. 6'5" when that comes up. So guy that can help you in a lot of ways. Seems like he picked up that wasn't Miller. He might have been a guy that was just added to give him a second halfback. Dornick 60 attempts, 5.1. Big short gains on an off tackle, 11. And Isaac Curtis getting later in his career, one of those guys that's always been maxed out long gains and almost or maxed out with catches as well. 16 yards, and I'm sure he's still great long. Yep, still maxed out long and short. So great Isaac Curtis card. And we've got Willie Miller, who's 15 yards a catch, and he's got a long of 52. Got a couple of drops short, he's got all but one long catch, and he's got lots of long gains. So good card. Bob Tucker, another guy toward the end of his career, still 11.5, and he'll probably be maxed out flat and almost dropped off a little bit short. He's one of those guys that's kind of been a great hands guy for about 8-9 years at the tight end position. Originally played with Tarkenton on the Giants, and Tarkenton went to the Giants in 72, and I believe it was 74 that they traded for Tucker, which had been his favorite target to go there. Joey Theismann coming down the road, of course, a great future quarterback for some, a great announcer. We'll take a look at their draft real quick. Dennis Harrison went as the first pick. Doug C. Smith. And then Keith Butler is another second-round pick. So nice pickups there for Vinnie. This will be his first season as well. I forgot he was in his first year because he's kind of been with us through the preseason and such. And it's hard to call somebody a rookie after they've gone through the offseason. And he's got a great line. I mean, Rich Saul, 6'4", flanked by Bob Young, a 6'7", and then a 4'2" with 5'7" and a 4'5" at offensive tackle. So he's got a pair of 7 pass blockers there. It's going to help Bradshaw. So very nice offense as a whole. Could be a little turnover prone, but it's got tons of carries, got some good runners, and it's hard to call run. So. And they're a 3-4 team, good and average to good. Got a big short gain, 9-7 there on linebacker, but everything else is very, very solid. It's only a short gain. It's not so big with one man there. And a lot of these cards in this era, as people already know, because the fact 2 is so different, linebacker gets a few extra yards normally in the middle of the card somewhere. And good coverage units, one of the better we've seen. Tony Fritsch, all the way out to 32 yards, 2 through 10, and not bad at all long for this era, 6 and 12. Very nice kicking card. Got Johnny Rogers hanging in there. Not many return yards on the punt return. Kickoffs average. Got a block and Bragg's 39, so biggest strength is going to be Fritsch and the coverage units as far as special teams. And 3-4 defense, let's see. Bob Baumhauer, who is going to be good for a long, long while. Elvis Groom, or Lois Grooms, especially 5'7", and Cedric Hardman, a 5'11". Hardman's been around for a long time. They picked up Hollywood Henderson from High Plains for into the third round pick, which became Reese, I believe, that pass rusher for 3 years down the road. But Henderson's one of those guys that really could help a team that is already good, and he only had 1 year left, and he's a guy that definitely would be able to help a team that's good. And as you see, gives him a pair of 6 linebackers and allows a lot of flexibility there. You can put a linebacker 6 in both outside zones if you move Lemaster over and pass rush Arneson, who's your best outside or linebacker pass rusher, and still got Sam Hunt in the middle, Wagner, who could move up with 5s at left corner and strong safety and a 6 at right corner. Got good coverage if you move your free safety around. So very nice team. And their pass defense, it's one of those, they, instead of having 5 chances on the 8, they only have 3 chances on the 4. So they got a little bit fewer defender X's than a normal team. And then they've got 5 and a third long gain chances. So a very good long gain card, long pass no men card. And then they got the straight out interception there on 6. That's a big deal. A couple of extra interceptions over the average team on long pass. So you can move your free safety around a little bit with this team. 12 chances short with the long gain on 12. And again, the big interceptions. So very nice pass defense card. Got a 12 interception, 1-man flat. Average to good, that probably could be good in my opinion, or good to excellent on that pass card. So very nice team. Just kind of depends on how does Bradshaw perform for you in a lot of ways for this team, in my opinion. If Bradshaw has a good year for you and doesn't turn it over too much, this team could be the best team in the division. It's a very well-rounded, solid team. I think I like Adeline the best of all the teams, though. I'm not going to pick second. They're pretty close, but I think I like Adeline personally as the best overall team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they look tough. I think they look like the toughest team on the board. So in this division anyway, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all the teams look tough except for mine.
Yeah, well, you know, you're going to have a big improvement both GMing and coaching going forward with that team. So, you know, you'll erase some of these past mistakes quickly.
And that's the fun of it all.
Yeah, and you'll have enough building blocks that it won't be a total rebuild. But yeah, they're kind of at the end of the draft a few years in a row, and it didn't really help that like say the best players that kind of fallen off the board, and it's really kind of hard to draft. Sometimes like a good fullback, if you got Franco, it's going to last forever. And there's weird little things that kind of went into the way they kind of fell together. But it's definitely going to be a fun team to play around with. You'll have a good time with some of the building blocks. And Clay Matthews, like say, and Kaufman are like godsends for a team that really needed a couple of good players. I mean, they come in and they're like the best 2 players on the team right away. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with this team. So
yeah, well, good. And just the fact that we might get more participation, and I don't want to really cover everybody's team. I think we'll go ahead and cut this one off and maybe try again in a night or 2 if we can get a couple other guys to join in. That way we can hear better voices and better analysis than me just going on for 3 more divisions. But I'm glad you joined, Butch. It was fun talking football. I hope you'll interrupt me more often so you can get more talking in.
I was just taking it all in, Tim. It's always fun. Thanks.
Yep, and really great having you in the league along with Vinnie. Didn't forget about you, Vinnie. Again, you've just been here already a couple months. So, but anyway, we'll resume this in a couple of nights, and I'm going to shut this down. Thanks for everybody that's listening, and have a great night.
Thank you.